ladies and gentlemen, can I ask all of you to be seated, please? Good afternoon once again on this lovely Sunday of spring. Distinguished guests, sponsors, and media partners. Before we begin proceedings, first we'd like to acknowledge the original custodians of the land in which we are meeting on today, the Garbagol people of the Darug Nation, and pay respects to their elders, past, present, and future. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. Can I urge you all to turn off your mobile phones or turn it on to silent mode? I can see a few acknowledgements, well done. And also, in the case of an emergency, please pay attention to your fire exits, the back door, and the two on the right where it's marked in green. We're here today to officially launch IAMA, the Iraqi Australasian Medical Association. So thank you for joining us. The history of medicine has shown us how societies have changed and continue to change their approach to dealing with illness, to treatment, to medical advice. Medicine has been around for thousands of years and is developed from an art form to a skill and knowledge. It has evolved and continues to evolve. It has evolved and continues to evolve at a rapid rate. But with a groupthink collective, IAMA aims to bring together brilliant minds from Australia and New Zealand under a common goal to become a centralized connectivity point for Iraqi Australasian medical professionals. There's a brief brochure on your tables, which has been placed that summarizes the aims and the objectives of IAMA. I encourage you all to give it all a good read. And a physician once said, "The best medicine for humans is love." Then someone asked, "What if it doesn't work, doctor?" The physician smiled and replied, "Just increase the dose." Now, I would like to thank the guests again for making the time to come today and join us, members of local council and parliament, the Lanatana venue, and our sponsors. And just calling out our sponsors today, Dupuy is part of Johnson & Johnson family group of companies, the Douglas Hanley Moore Pathology Centers, the MedLab Pathology Centers, and Zimmer Biomed. And I'd like to also to call out our platinum sponsor from Osteointegration International, an acknowledgement of a significant contribution to our cause. So thank you again. And now for the first speech, I would like to invite Dr. Munjid Al-Mudaris, the president of IAMA, to give his opening remarks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming here, and thank you very much for participating in this important gathering. I haven't prepared any speech, but I can start by saying Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is the cradle of civilization. Many things happened and started in the region of Iraq, or current Iraq. From the first writing, from the first literature, from the first wheel, from the first musical instrument. Iraq supplied the world with a lot of knowledge, a lot of richness. And time passed, and then Iraq and Baghdad become the capital of the greatest empire that the world have seen, extending from the wall of China to the sea, to the big ocean. And again, medicine, astronomy, science, literature, distributed to all over the world, to Europe and through Andalus. And then Iraq saw a dark day in 1257 when the Mongols destroyed the wall of Baghdad. The start of darkness occurred. And then we went through dark times until the moment where New Iraq was resurrected with the foundation of the Iraqi kingdom in 1921. And then there was a new rise of medicine with Sir Harry Sanderson, who's a British national that came back to Iraq and started the medical school. And from there onward, there was a rise of new generation of Iraqis, and the Iraqi medical colleges and other colleges become the center of civilization again for the region. This time, there was a lot of richness that distributed to the neighboring countries, and from my experience, meeting a lot of senior surgeons from Jordan, Egypt, Syria, and other nations, but a lot of them have been trained and graduated from Iraqi medical schools. And these days were called the golden days, or the new golden days. And unfortunately, we entered another phase of darkness, and darkness continues to this day. With the rise of tyrants, with Saddam Hussein, and then the invasion of Iraq, or the liberation of Iraq, you call it what you want to do, we are going through a very difficult phase now. And that's why one of the reasons I participated in this kind of organization. Statistically speaking, Iraq as a nation now has 6.1% fertility rate. This fertility rate is an indication of poverty, lack of education, and poor judgment of the society. And we hope that we can bring fertility rate down to 3.5 at some stage with more education. Iraqi doctors, in numbers, 20,000 of them left Iraq due to the sectarian violence, due to the tribal rule, and due to the religious influence in that country. And they went all over the world. And there is a big population of them here in Australia and New Zealand. Unfortunately, Iraqi numbers started with 2,000 before 1999, or 1991, sorry. And now it is estimated that we have more than 80,000 Iraqis living in Australia. Unfortunately, the basic income of Iraqis is $288 per week, as comparing to the basic income of an ordinary Australian of $577. So we have a problem. And I hope that with this gathering and with your help, we can all together do two main tasks. The first is that we unite to fight poverty. We unite to raise the standards of our Iraqi population in Australia and New Zealand and bring it to the standards of the rest of the population by enlightenment, by education, by encouraging people to work and contribute to their new home, Australia and New Zealand. And the other cause is that the country that you left has been deprived of all its skills. I've been to Iraq for 7 times now, and I can tell you, it's a horrible scene. Iraq has no skills. They do have the infrastructure, but they are only buildings. Lack of any kind of skills and knowledge, and unfortunately run by new kind of tyrants and new kind of rule. The rule of the tribal leadership, the rule of bribery, the rule of lack of ethics, etc. And I think it's very important that we all think back and we all turn our face back again to that country and help it. So I hope that this will be a nucleus of foundation of new era for Iraqis, where we can move forward with a stronger union among doctors, and that will spread around to the rest of the Iraqi population wherever they are around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Al-Mudarris. I would like to invite Dr. Ahmed Aroubi to the stage to give us some history and structure about IAMA. Thank you.
Honorable Frank Carboni, Mayor of Fairfield, Honorable Paul Lynch, State Member for Liverpool, Honorable Guy Zankari, State Member for Fairfield, colleagues from the Arab Medical Association, Australian Lebanese Medical Association, Federation of Bengalis Medical Association in Australia, distinguished guests and colleagues. I would like first to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. We welcome you all to the launch meeting of the first organization for Australasian Iraqi doctors. 25 years ago, when I arrived Sydney, we were a handful of doctors. All were in the process of doing the Australian Medical Association requirement to enter the workforce. 10 years later, our number and our needs and demands increased. And we needed a forum to help each other and also to help in the health education of our community. So we established the medical committee in a forum for...
Thank you, Dr. Aroubi. Next, we have Dr. Miriam Joseph to give us an overview about the objectives of the organization. Dr. Joseph?
Thank you, Ziad. Can you hear me, everyone? Our honorable politicians, organization representatives, sponsors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I was asked to talk about the goals of the IAMA. By now, we all know that this association includes mainly doctors, all in Australia and New Zealand. The doctors' categories include specialists, general practitioners, JMOs or junior medical officers, resident medical officers, trainees or registrars, AMC doctors and medical researchers. We will be also working closely with different medical organizations and individuals from Iraq. So what are we going to achieve through this organization? And to put it very clearly and simply for you. Number one, what are we going to do for AMC doctors? I will give you statistics. In 2016,
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Zainab Rida to give a few opening remarks. Please come through.
How many of you remember your registrar days? Or let's go back further. Your first day as an intern. You've just graduated from medical school and you feel on top of the world. And then you show up on the hospital wards and realize you're actually at the bottom of the food chain and that nurses are actually your best friends because they're the ones keeping you in check. As doctors in training, we often spend long hours on the wards. We get excited about bowels and urine output. We're awake when everyone else is asleep, and we use our free time studying for exams. Some of you might have had even more interesting experiences training in Iraq. My dad, for example, was sent to the rural town of Diwania in 1979 for his internship and residency. One night shift, a pickup truck turned up at the emergency department, and a man came out requesting a death certificate for a relative.
That carry through the usual sort of lines. Firstly, of course, it needs no introduction. I'd like to invite up to the stage Dr. Munjid al-Mudiris, who is the inaugural president of this association. And Dr. Miriam Joseph, who's the vice president. Dr. Ahmed Aroubi, who is the secretary. And I'll be carrying the burden of being a treasurer. Now, from specialist groups, We have Dr. Imad Mahmood from Obstetrics and Gynecology. Mohanad Jabir, Dr. Mohanad Jabir, an upper GI surgeon. Dr. Wael Adouri, who's a psychiatrist. And Dr. Anwar Rabban, hematologist. Of course, this organization is aiming to continue the work through different levels of experience. It's not just for qualified doctors. So we have hospital trainee representatives, Dr. Zainab Rida and Dr. Zainab Akrawi and Dr. Fadi Aziz. Dr. Usama Al-Ubaidi and Dr. Zaydun Al-Falahi. Overseas. These are apparently overseas. Our GP representatives, we have Dr. Ala Al-Mansour, Dr. Murtada Shawqi, I saw, there he is, Firas. Don't be shy.
Next, we have our distinguished politicians and supporters. So first, I'd like to invite Mr. Frank Carboni, Fairfield Mayor, to give his opening words. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be here to join you in the celebration of this inaugural organisation. First of all, can I say it's wonderful to see many more doctors and politicians in the room. We definitely need more doctors and less politicians. And who am I to speak after some of the wonderful speakers that came before me? But I will say this. It's wonderful that you've been able to come together to launch the Iraqi Australian Medical Association. In doing so, of course, you will be, as has been expressed, you'll be able to look after and mentor many of the new doctors. And what I have noticed is that many of you have your own unique story to tell. I know I've spoken to various doctors, including Dr. Miriam Josephs, and I've heard a lot of the different stories of the different places you have travelled and how you've come here in this country. We heard the story earlier about the tragedy of Iraq. What is happening in Iraq to the Iraqi people?
And get the Honourable Guy Zingari, State Member of Fairfield, to give his speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be very, very, very brief because we've had a number of speakers and I'm sure there are a few more to come. Can I first of all acknowledge traditional owners of the land and pay respects to elders both past and present. Of course, we acknowledge the Cabral people of the Darug Nation who have nurtured and cultivated this beautiful country we call Australia, which you call home, and they cultivated and nurtured that for 60,000 years, and for that we must always be forever grateful. Can I also acknowledge the presence of my parliamentary colleagues, to Mayor Carboni, the Mayor of this place, also to my parliamentary colleague and the Shadow Attorney General, I'm speaking of the member for Liverpool, Mr. Paul Lynch, and to you, the wonderful doctors who are here, specialists in your own right, who are now, of course, looking after the Australian community, but also people from an Iraqi background, and there's been so many...
Thank you, Mr. Zingari. Next is Mr. Paul Lynch, State MP of Liverpool. Put your hands together.
Thanks, Ziad. I commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Cabral clan, the Darug Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I also pay my respects to the elders of the other First Nations of this land. Can I acknowledge Drs. Arabai, Miriam Joseph, Munjud Almuderis, the other members of the Iraqi-Australian Medical Association. Can I also acknowledge, of course, my parliamentary colleague Guy Zangari and the Mayor of Fairfield, Frank Carboni. Congratulations to the association. Congratulations to those that have done the work to get it to this point. It is almost a traditional thing for new micro-communities to do, to develop their own networks, their own organisations. It's a sign of striving to be part of contemporary Australia. It's very much part of the traditional Australian story. I'm fond of saying the great Australian story is of people that are born overseas and come here and make this their home. As part of that, they develop organisations of their own for their communities, and that's what you do today. It's an entirely traditional thing. It's also, of course, entirely traditional to remember where you've come from. We heard from the President some comments about Iraq and the history. I've got some knowledge of it. 7 years or so ago, I spent a short time in Sulaymaniyah and Erbil and Halabja. So I've seen some of it. Some will say that's Kurdistan, some will say it's Iraq. That's not an argument.
اليوم نلتقي لإطلاق الجمعية الطبية العراقية الأسترالية النيوزيلندية، أول جمعية للأطباء العراقيين في أستراليا بمختلف ولاياتها بالإضافة إلى نيوزيلندا. حدث كبير واقعا بالنسبة إلى الأطباء العراقيين وبالنسبة إلى الوسط والمجتمع الطبي إجمالا. لحد السنة الماضية كان هناك اللجنة الطبية في منتدى الجامعي العراقي الأسترالي تنظم وتقيم الأنشطة المتعلقة بزيادة المعارف والمدارك الطبية لزملاء الأطباء، بالإضافة إلى التثقيف والتوعية بالنسبة للجالية العراقية والجالية العربية إجمالا. مع ازدياد عدد الأطباء من كل الاختصاصات والمجالات وأطباء العائلة والأطباء في المستشفيات في التريننج، بالإضافة إلى زملائنا القادمين بإقامة لأستراليا الIMC Graduate، أصبحت هناك حاجة كبيرة لإطار ينظم عملهم وينظم طريقة مساعدتهم، خاصة عند الحاجة في حالات البحث عن امتحانات أو إنجازها أو الحصول على observation أو الحصول حتى على مواقع للعمل، إضافة إلى التنسيق فيما بين مختلف الأطباء لزيادة دورهم وتأثيرهم داخل الوسط الطبي والمجتمع الاسترالي بشكل عام. جمعيتنا منفتحة وبعلاقات قوية مع كل الجمعيات الطبية العربية والخاصة بالجاليات الأخرى في أستراليا، إضافة إلى علاقاتها بالجسم الطبي العراقي من خلال نقابة الأطباء والجمعيات، بالإضافة إلى كليات الاختصاص المختلفة.
If you want to be a cardiologist, there were only 15 positions in New South Wales. They might get jobs. We also offer support and networking for GPs and also for retired. We will be able to help and support each other. We also like to give back to our wonderful campus that we're going to work into different groups, and we will have small projects or big projects to facilitate that.
Being one of the more junior doctors here, I've probably got lots to learn from a lot of the doctors in this room, and would like to.
Organisation aims to be. I saw. There he is. Don't be shy. Of course, you will come. Dr. Saif Nouri. Dr. Noor Kaukaz. And Dr. Ali Al-Alusi.
To the Iraqi people, and that's really unfortunate. And many of you who have migrated to this country that are doctors, I think it's called the Hippocratic. Our community has been outstanding in the way that they've resettled so many refugees, opened up if they have illnesses. So the wonderful thing about this association, being able to connect with Arabic-speaking communities, not just Iraqi-speaking communities, is assistance. How would I communicate that to a doctor? or how would a person think about when it comes to being a doctor, and I think you'd all agree, it's about people. It doesn't matter, say it really simply, people coming together to help their peers and to help other people. You already do so much.
Some comments about Iraq and the history. I've got some knowledge, but it's a part of the world I have very deep interest in. And it is entirely sensible for organisations such as this to think.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch, for your warm words. And Ms. Wendy Wallers.
Invite one of our colleagues, Dr. Ayaz Chaudhary, the head of the Federation of the Bengalis Medical Association, to talk about topics in this regard. So there are several ways, and this is one of the main aims, actually, of this organization. Thank you.
I just add something that by networking, we are hearing from different individuals that they have positions for AMCs, or certain hospitals would have positions for trainees that we did not know about. So we're going to share that in our WhatsApp group. I mean, today I've heard that there is position for AMCs at Fairfield Hospital Emergency Department. So anyone who's out there, please apply, go and inquire about it. We cannot guarantee to find you a job, but we can liaise and inform you that there are some vacancies in certain hospitals or in certain medical centers for you to approach, and we'll give you the contact details. So this is one of the ways to encourage the employment. But we also very happy to help out in terms of sometimes probably a person will not find a job, not because there is no job availability. Maybe that person has got issues. Sometimes could be the personal approach to certain things. Sometimes that person may need more training in certain areas. So maybe by talking with them, we can guide them to improve on certain areas. So when they apply, they will get the job. So there is lots of things, mentoring we can do and help out. Feel free to ask us, whether individual or in a group, about any certain points. So it's good here that we've established this one. When we went through our training, we did not have any of these. So please use it, and I'm sure every one of you has got significant skills to offer. So let's work together, help each other, and then hopefully the employment issues will be tackled at least.
I think we have, as Miriam correctly said, that when we first came here, we didn't have any guidance. I think we can help each other as a community here for these people. And I think, let's be frank here, I mean, we need to learn from examples around the world where people do have lobbies, and we have a big society here, and there is nothing wrong with us uniting and working together, because after all, the benefit will go to our community, and the bigger benefit will go to the rest of to the whole Australian community. And as I mentioned in my talk, I have a very strong vision that we need to turn back to the country that we were born in, because that country is struggling, and we need to have some help. I mean, even if you're all very skilled, you all can have a lot to give, and the country is in desperate need of your skills. And I'm more than happy to talk to you individually for anyone who would want to go to Iraq, and I'm happy, and you can count on this. I'm happy to provide you with security, and we'll pay for your flights to go back to Iraq.
Thank you. I think we've got a question here.
So, Ahmad Mahmoud, obstetrician gynecologist from Sydney. Thank you very much for all your time and effort to organize this. Two questions. One of them is there any plans, when Munjid said lobbying, that was almost answered half of my question, is to have meetings with parliaments, with politicians, with the government, and just to show that we are here, and these are our needs as a community, like overseas doctors from Iraq, and because we have a unique situation. The second, are we going to engage with the members of the community with lectures and education not the doctors, but just members. How can we do that? Even if we give the lectures in Arabic language to them, just to, for example, from my point of view, I see a lot of patients that they don't even know what a pap smear means still. They've been in Australia for 18, 20 years and they never had a pap smear. And they don't understand what's it. Like lectures, simple primary care prevention lectures to our community about different specialties, medical, surgical, ONG. Yeah.
Very good question. I'll talk about lecturing. We thought about it is sometimes difficult to gather so many people to attend a particular function. We've done it in the past. We've done seminars, we've organized conferences, and it is time consuming, and we all work full time. However, we thought this year that the thing that we're going to do would be probably have all the members of the community, whoever would like to participate, to make YouTube videos so we can have different sessions on regular basis to talk about different topics. And I think through this way, and we need to use the social media, but that will actually save lots of time on our behalf, and then they can hear it whenever they want. So one of the goals of the organization is we want to do this time things differently. We can do different things with the other associations. However, in terms of the health promotion to reach all, we can do seminars, and nothing wrong with that, which we will do it. But I think doing YouTube sessions on different topics, even if it's 5 minutes about a topic, I think it will be an amazing initiative that we can take and do for health promotion.
We have very good experience in engagement toward raising awareness for different types of cancers and different diseases there. And the community knows us in general about this ability. So this will be part of the aspect of educating them in addition to what Dr. Maria mentioned. For lobbying, I think lobbying is a long-term process. So this is not something we can start right at the start of the organization. Once we establish ourselves as an organization, people knows about its effective, the spectrum of its works, the connection on board with other medical organizations in Australia, in New Zealand, and in Iraq. I think then we can be a figure that can lobby and can work. But this is definitely one of the very important and one of the very early things we discussed as an objective for the organization.
Thank you. I've got a question here as well.
Sorry, Tamidia Elias from Melbourne Obstetric and Gynecology. I just want to add to what's been just said. So I actually do health awareness sessions for our women in Melbourne, and I find it very rewarding. And as was said, this is actually a very important area for us to explain. And I usually do it, of course it's my own time, it's a volunteer work, but it's very, very rewarding. And I tackle it through church and mosques, so it's get advertised through there. And we basically go through one of their venues, which will be, they kindly offer for free. And I give up my time, and all the women coming from different ages and groups. And as was said, they have been here for many, many years, and they don't want to go for vaccine just because they think it's not necessary or it's not required. So I do that regularly. And I actually recently have been working with health awareness in Victoria to raise this as a community-based sessions with other communities, mainly Indian and Pakistani communities. So we can do it in main areas in Melbourne where we have majority of Iraqi or Arabic-speaking women. So I think this is a very big part of this group that we should actually work on. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just make a comment? Thank you for your contribution firstly, and thank you for your comment. And this is, I guess, a prime example of what we're trying to talk about. We have two specialists who have a common interest and for the service of the community. And what we're trying to do through this organization is, I guess, get you in contact with each other so that there's a united effort rather than a fragmented effort which only goes to your local community. So this is more about presenting a united effort to the wider community, whether it's Iraqi in its ethnic base or beyond that.
And I decided to do the trick my own way. So I contacted saying that we're very sorry that you are overqualified. criticize. So I said I apologize because I simply didn't know the upside. But a background surgical person, I can at that moment significantly emphasize one, and I decided to call him back. And of course the advice is that we have to sit tight and follow the path. So in my experience in him, it took me a good 9 years from the day I landed to the day I started. Then beginning of 2012, I signed first fellowship and second fellowship, a couple of hundreds of exams, including driver's license test. I started in Wollongong Public Hospital, South Wales Cancer Agency as a high-volume center for pancreatic and esophageal resections. In 2017, we chose me as a surgery specialist. In 2019, we had ranked number 4 on the states. All right, so when I started, and I would say we were still kind of
So I just want to check with you first. The big image, because it's like Iraqi, Australasian, like it includes 2 countries, which is Australia and New Zealand. So we, after discussion with the committee, we chose this big image that has 3 landmarks. Okay. For the community, for any website of this nature in Australia, they always have, it's either or, either a website that gives information about the association in general, like activities, news, whatever, and also some of them are just directories. So we, after discussion with the committee, we chose this website to be 2-in-1. So we have directory, so when any member of the community, they can find easily a doctor, especially with maybe 2 languages. At the moment it's just English, but in the future we can make it a multilingual website, so we can have people searching in Arabic language as well. So for the news now, we don't have yes, and with the Rouge channel, just showing, explaining how about why the goals of establishing the community. Searching, there's a search engine in the website. Search, we classified the specialties according to this one. Like for example, medical physicians, so we can understand what the profession is about. So for example, if I want to look for geriatrician, and by the way, this is like very comprehensive, nice main interests, specialties, experiences listed here as well. And then I click and I see all the information of that doctor. And also there's another thing in the search, as like, for example, you can search through a keyword. For example, put Arabic or any other, even the name, it will show up in the list. So for people, they can't understand the professions or the medical terminologies, they can just put the keyword for the doctor and can find it through this. Okay. A way to do the membership, so I would like to invite Dr. Ahmed with me here. He will explain to you exactly how we approve and upload the, it's like other websites, it's public, it will be private, it will be sent to their email, and it will be guide, all the instructions in the email how to pay.
90% of them, they don't speak any English. They're coming as a refugee from Iraq, from Syria. You can try as much as you can, but really our job is to help these communities and to try to let them know that somebody is behind them and we are with them all along, because they actually, we not anyone unless we are belong to them. We really, this community need our help, and I feel really proud to be part of this community. And I thank very much my own colleagues, which I've been working with her for the last 20 years. I don't want to make her older. Dr. Mariam Joseph, I've been known her since I was already finishing my training in Liverpool Hospital, and after that in Fayetteville, we're working together. Really is fantastic. Guys, you are fantastic. Hopefully, we're able to help these communities as much as we can. And if you need any help, please don't hesitate. I'm around here in Fairfield area.
Because maybe there is no pressing, unless someone has a pressing question at the moment.
I've got a question to start you off. So we know that unemployment is the biggest ticket item in our community and in any new migrants and refugee community. And as someone once said in the beginning of this launch today, that doctors, you expect it's the profession that they don't sit at home. I think it's Dr. Joseph, that said that. It's the profession that you assume everyone naturally just lands in a job. I guess, could you share with us what is your plan or how you're looking to tackle the unemployment of overseas doctors?
Look, I think each one of you is doing it as your day go by. And I mean, personally, the way I practice, and let's be frank, I spend around 5 to 10 minutes with an Australian patient, but I spend almost 45 minutes with an Iraqi patient or an Arabic patient. And there are reasons behind that. Number one is that you try to make them integrate in the way they think, and just detach them from the way they anticipate and the way their perceptions about medicine, where they come from, especially new migrants. And the second part is trying to prepare them psychologically for what they need and require, and build the trust with them, because trust is a major issue that we have. And then you enter the next difficult dialogue is about the financial aspect and their social standard. And my first question to any patient that come from the Middle East or from Iraq particularly is that, what do you do for a living? And sadly, the vast majority of the response is that I can't work because my knee hurts or my leg hurts. And my response is usually that I treat a lot of amputees, and I treat a lot of people who have no knees and no hips and no arms, and they still work. So I think what we do in our day-to-day work is to encourage people to integrate, encourage people to stop feeling sorry for themselves and move on with their life, and stop blaming the rest of the world for their misery, and be productive. And I always say it in a positive way, that the minute you start paying tax, the minute you start contributing to the society, the minute all the doors open for you. And that's the approach that I have with my patients in general.
Just can I add one aspect, that we know that unemployment is not universal, and we know that unemployment for us is mainly for our AMC colleagues who have heaps of troubles and obstacles, both to enter the system, to do the exam, and then to find jobs. Employment also on the other side, regarding finding a job after you finishing your training, for example, or you find a job in a training program. So both these are part of our work there, and targets and objectives to help with. Several aspects. One of those aspects is, first of all, to use our network. Secondly, to use our connections with the official side of, this will be our entry to more effective authorities like the health minister, etc. One of the other ways is to liaison with our colleagues from other organizations of other communities. And we will soon invite one of our colleagues, Dr. Ayaz Chaudhary, the head of the Federation of the Bengalis Medical Association, to talk about topics in this regard. So there are several ways, and this is one of the main aims, actually, of this organization. Thank you.
I just add something that by networking, we are hearing from different individuals that they have positions for AMCs, or certain hospitals would have positions for trainees that we did not know about. So we're going to share that in our WhatsApp group. I mean, today I've heard that there is position for AMCs at Fairfield Hospital Emergency Department. So anyone who's out there, please apply, go and inquire about it. We cannot guarantee to find you a job, but we can liaise and inform you that there are some vacancies in certain hospitals or in certain medical centers for you to approach, and we'll give you the contact details. So this is one of the ways to encourage the employment. But we're also very happy to help out.
Immediately, senior people like Dr. Kirigani was here. And of course, I didn't listen to him. And I decided to do the trick my own way. So I contacted some peripheral hospital, the most peripheral. There is nothing beyond that. And send them all of my CVs, etc. I received a prompt email within 24 hours saying that we're very sorry that you are overqualified. So I said I apologize because I sent you the CV on the website. But at that I'm surgical person. I can stitch wounds, I can look after performance, I can stabilize fractures, I can even do a laparotomy. And he said, oh my God, very sorry, we are a junior person. And I don't know. And we don't have a system to classify. So I felt at that moment significantly unclassified. And I decided to call him back. And of course the advice is that we have to sit tight and follow the path. So in my experience, it took me a good 9 years from the day I landed to the day I started my consultancy, and with 1 full year of unemployment, which I enjoyed the most. And then beginning of 2012, after I finished my first fellowship